You're listening to episode 246 of Lifestyle Locker Radio with Alicia and Erwan Davon. Hi, I'm Dr. Josh Hant, and welcome to Lifestyle Locker Radio, where we help you create an awesome life and lifestyle. From nutrition to fitness, mindfulness to peak performance, and relationships to money mindset, we bring you on an amazing journey to help you unleash your human potential. Hey everyone, welcome back to Lifestyle Locker Radio. We have a great pair of guests today. We have Alicia and Erwan Davon. I got to work on my pronunciation. What an awesome power couple here. I'm glad to have you both. So welcome.
Thank you.
Great to be here.
Great. I'm glad to have
everything we've checked out about you is awesome. So we're excited.
Good. I'm glad to have you both. Really glad. So we're going to get into some cool, spicy conversations, I hope, as we go through this conversation. We don't really have too much planned, and that's what I love about this. So why don't you bring everybody up to speed? We're into relationships. We're into all of these things, and you're teachers, and I guess I can call you teachers. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Instructors, teachers. Bring everybody up to speed on what you both do and how we got here.
So why don't you start about how we got here?
Okay. Well, we teach people, one of the things we were excited about this conversation for is you're all about unleashing potential. We're all about unleashing relationship potential. So how I got here is that my parents' relationship was an utter, complete disaster. It was a very, very grisly start. They immigrated from France. They were breaking up before I was even born. The divorce was, I don't have any memories of them together. My mother went back to France when I was 7. I barely saw her after that. I ended up with a psychological disorder. I couldn't go to school. There are people it gets worse for, but not that many. So wow. That was the beginning. That threw me into psychoanalysis. At 15 years old, I'm in psychoanalysis multiple days a week. I'm starting to get sorted out. I go to the University of California, study psychology, get basically sorted out, more psychoanalysis, take every workshop I can possibly find. I'm rebirthing. I'm running around rooms, breathing fast and waving my arms around. And I moved into a Zen monastery and I moved into a yoga ashram. And I did like anything because if anybody needed to get sorted out, I needed to get sorted out. And it ended up working. Thank God, right? So all that disaster was a blessing because it forced me to deal with myself, right? Like, how do you relate? What is it to be a human being? All this stuff that's kind of easy to not deal with if things are good, right? And then I took a look one day, well, what am I the most interested in? Okay, yes, presence and being alive, but inside of that, women, that was it. Relationship, sex, I was a 20-something-year-old guy, and that was just the truth of it. And I decided to kind of roll with that and go with that. I took everything I'd learned, put it in that bucket, put a little sign out. I'd been teaching for the world's largest transformational organization for about 5 years and left that, put a little sign out, relationship coaching. And that was 1995, was doing that with a girlfriend and my best friend. And it turned into the journey of a lifetime. I'm sure we'll get into it. I don't want to sort of talk anymore. I'm going to sort of turn the microphone over to you. But that's how it happens.
That's a journey, to say the least. And we're not done.
Then it gets sexy. We haven't gotten to the sex.
She's
the sexy part.
Yes.
All right.
Well, if anybody had like the complete opposite childhood as Erwan, it was me. I grew up in a suburb of LA. My mom, my dad, my younger brother. My mom was always there to pick me up. I mean, I remember in elementary school sitting on the little grass hill and like her sea green Volvo driving up at the same time, like super reliable, super predictable. I had a great childhood. And lucky for me, when I went to college, I started experiencing depression, suffering, pain like I had never experienced before. And I think for a lot of us, that's the kind of thing that propels us into a journey and learning and growing. So luckily I had a great therapist. And then I met this woman who led these women retreats. And there I wasn't like running around the room, but I was in sweat lodges and I was drumming and I was discovering, oh my God, this is so amazing. Through all of that stuff, I discovered what was beyond kind of the normal. I was headed towards a very kind of normal, I would say kind of boring life where things are good enough, right? And luckily this pain crept into my experience. So I started to discover what was beyond all of that. So fast forward, I was studying to become a therapist and I was in graduate school and I was becoming like ravenous to get my hands on anything I could learn about female sexuality. I just got like psychology, feminine spirituality, sex. Like I wanted to learn everything I could. And I would literally hole up in the library after hours trying to find like, information about that. And then a friend of mine, Shayna, was like, Alicia, you should meet this guy, Erwan. He teaches these classes and there's this thing called extended orgasm. And like, there's these workshops and I'm like, take me to this guy. Like, this is spicy. This is good. So she takes me to this group that Erwan was leading at his house. And I was just like smitten from the start. And he looked so cute. He's still wearing them. He wears these cute, like judo yoga pants and Ugg boots and like had the scruff. And I don't know. I was like, this guy's so hot. But I was in another relationship at the time. So it's a big, funny, long story of how we eventually got together. But eventually we started dating. He was rocking my world sexually. Like I thought I knew what good sex was. I liked having orgasms, all of that. But he was like taking it to a whole other level for me. And then eventually I was like, you got to take me to one of these classes you're teaching. So I visited, I was kind of participating in the pleasure course. And that is where I decided to divert my path away from becoming a therapist. And I jumped on board into his organization and took over, basically. Yeah. So that's how I got involved in all of this. And it's really a blessing. Like, yes, I have a background in psychology and that informs our work here, but it really was the adventure and the fun and the sex and the depth that got me.
Yeah. I think it's so neat that both of you had this craving for change, for like this, I want to say like expertise, but getting those 10,000 plus hours of learning and diving so deep into something that you became experts so early. I believe like really early in life and just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. And very funny to find that you both connected with how, you know, the universe makes no mistakes, right? How that connection just showed up one day when a friend said, hey, you should go check out this guy. Right. I think that's so cool to hear these stories for such diverse different backgrounds. But the way things work out. So I know, Erwan, you were saying, that when we're going to transfer the story over to her now, you paused. Why did we pause? Where does the story keep going?
Well, I mean, when we met, I had what I would call Don Juan syndrome. At that point, I had a very active sex life. You know, I had multiple girlfriends, all the rest of this kind of stuff. But, you know, getting into a relationship wasn't really in the cards for me. It wasn't really going to happen. You know, I still had, even after all that therapy and so on, I still had unconscious material. And there was no way that I was going to have a long-term committed relationship, much less a long-term committed sexy relationship, getting more and more intimate, more and more turned on, closer over time, unless I worked those issues out actually in relationship. So Alicia comes along. She's got a whole bunch of what I don't have. She's really comfortable in a relationship. You know, she's at ease, you know, so basically, you know, she came in, you can just unplug and plug it into the floor. So basically she came in and after she, if you'll permit me to say, Alicia, she kind of loosened up to like have some fun and sex and extended orgasm. She was drawn to it. I think everybody's drawn to it, but people have a lot of prohibitions for whatever reasons, right? And I think she detected, okay, these classes that this guy's teaching is really fundamentally about presence, really fundamentally about being awake. Oh, and it's about being awake, not just in the head, not even just in the heart, not even just in the body, but it includes the sex center, right? And, our experience is that people, maybe women in particular are just crazy about the sex center. They really love the sex. That's a whole other conversation. I said a kind of loaded thing there, but maybe we'll unpack that shortly. We're happy to. So anyway, she got there like, okay, this is for real. And then I had to deal with all of my intimacy issues. I had to deal with like, okay, could I really like settle into a relationship? So she opened in her sex center and her body and presence and having fun and all the rest of that. I had to open my heart, and it was freaking terrifying. It was just absolutely terrifying. So, that's really kind of how the journey went. And then it turned into us doing demonstrations of extended orgasm in front of hundreds of people. It turned into leading big classes. It turned into traveling around the world and doing vacation courses and it just turned into basically a crazy adventure. And then, the thing I really like about your message, if I can change topics just for a second, is human potential it's infinite. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely infinite. And I really appreciated what you said. We really did our homework. We were totally immersed in this before we even had the vaguest idea we were going to become teachers. And people get into coaching or teaching sometimes first, and then they kind of want to put in the hours or something like that. You got to really put in the hours first and then go into it. And I don't know where I'm going with this. This is great, because I think just seeing the dynamic of the two of you together and smiling and looking at each other, when people are going to be watching this video, they're going to get that you're real people, that this is not some made up facade that's, put on. And I think this is also a really neat thing, that if people are not paying attention, having your background, with parents divorced, moving out of the country again, that does not determine your future. Right. And I mean, like you said, you had that baggage with you. You brought that garbage, if you will, into this thing. You were into all the sex, and like, holy cow, a relationship. This is scary. So between the two of you, whoever wants to answer, how did that transformation start? You said you had to open your heart, but obviously we have another partner here that I want to say maybe enabled you or allowed you to do that as well.
Yeah. Well, one thing I'll say is that my challenge in the situation was very different. Like, I was really comfortable in relationship. I was also used to being in relationships where, like, you meet, you dive in, you commit, you lock each other down really fast. And then of course they burn out, right? The mind burnt out. So I was used to comfort. It's good I was comfortable in relationship, but there was also like let's just be comfortable and have things be fine. So that's why I love the term unleashing potential, because this relationship unleashed my potential for beyond a mediocre situation, experiencing things outside of my comfort zone, right? It's like the cliche, but it's true that all this growth happens. So Erwan had a comfort zone of like not getting too close. And my comfort zone was like kind of being in there, but like comfortable and not expanding beyond a certain place.
So yeah, we had different strengths. And the other thing we had that really everybody has is masculine, feminine dynamics. We're a huge fan of that. Those are complementary, whether you're straight or you're gay or you're this or you're that. Reality being, to bring that term in, likes difference. It likes diversity. She sees.
I'll say like a magnet.
Like a magnet, exactly. Yeah. Right. And nowadays it's the biggest complaint people have is a lack of chemistry. And I think a lot of it is because there is a sort of a depolarization. It's become really unpopular to be masculine and secretly unpopular to be feminine. Nobody's going to say that outright, but there's a lot of squashing in the politically correct movement and in the conservatism of the ages. It's like now all sides, the conservative side and the liberal side, are like squashing. It used to be people who were gay. Now it's just everybody is getting squashed. So one of the things that we really sort of lucked out in is that even with my issues and Alicia's issues, Alicia's very feminine. She really held on to that. I'm very masculine. I really held on to that. I was raised by my father, who was a street fighter in the streets of New York, usually with multiple. Right?
I can only imagine.
Growing
He's
up.
a character, this guy.
Yeah. His nose is completely twisted from just like the fights and I watch him come home with bloody, it was, so I'm not advocating that as a positive masculinity, but I grew up with, I kind of held on to that. Right. Yeah. And one of the things that is really important is allowing the masculine essence, really allowing the feminine essence. They're very different. And, it's a really good pairing, whether it's a man and a woman or two women or two men, that you have somebody who's kind of accentuating one side of life and somebody who's accentuating another side of life. You really get a very interesting magnetic effect, synergy, and not to mention fun and pleasure.
Yeah. So I think I want you to go, either of you, to go a little bit deeper. And the masculinity thing, I think there's almost like demasculinization of this country, maybe the world, for all I know. And I think that's something that there needs to be that polarization. There needs to be those opposite sides, like you said, they attract. So how would you give a definition of, a masculine personality or masculine persona, however you want to define that, and then the feminine? How do we define those two, or how do people see it or hear it?
Well, this is tricky.
Of course.
When Erwan and we've been teaching about masculine, feminine dynamics for as long as we've been teaching together. And it used to be like, we'd say, okay, this is masculine, this is feminine, and okay, cool. And now it's so highly charged. Nobody wants to be told, okay, be this way, be that way, right? So we really like to support people in going where they're drawn to go. And then there's kind of suggestions of particular qualities that say masculine or say feminine. Some qualities that people come up with are for masculine, decisive, strong, straightforward, perseverance. What are some other ones that I'm missing?
Dedicated, commitment. And for feminine, people come up with things like love and brightness.
Receptivity.
Now, everybody's got both, but most people have more of one side or another, and being comfortable with that, and the example I like to use to kind of ground it is, I remember when I was a kid and I watched so much television as my mother was gone and my father was out fighting in the streets. I'm basically stuck in front of the TV. And one thing I watched a lot was those nature shows on public broadcast television.
Oh, we would get along. I'm a Discovery Channel junkie type of thing. So yeah, I get it.
It's really interesting stuff. And the thing I remember the most is that when the female tiger would go into heat, right? The male tiger would cross many jungles to find her. And I think it really strikes at the essence of a masculine feminine dynamic, even at a biological level. The feminine has an appetite, attractiveness. There's something like call. We could say she call, and the male responds to that. You can see, because you're looking at us, I know some people will be listening to an audio, some will be seeing us, but Alicia shines a particular way. I don't shine that way. I don't have that. I got some other good stuff, but that you can kind of feel the difference. And nowadays we ask people like, okay, what do you think the difference is? And people usually people are usually very astute about it. If they're really, approach it with sensitivity and intelligence. And people are actually kind of really want to be whatever they're drawn to. And again, whether they're straight or gay, and, you know, it's all different kinds of ways, right? So now I could say this in a chargy way, which is probably useful to say, which is that for me, it's all about what she wants. Now, that's a little bit of a chargy statement because, you know, a lot of new age folks turn that into a demasculinization. But for me, I get to be a hero. You know, for me, I feel like a knight in shining armor. You know, can I speak graphically on it? You know,
any way you want.
Okay.
The open platform, baby.
Right. You know, she's in a state of extended orgasm. She's coming for half an hour every morning. You know, and I produce that in her body, and I feel like I can do no wrong. It's like I'm living in a state of grace. There's no, you know, I'm not a dorm. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like I bring the flowers to her, and I like it that way.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes, and he gets to be the hero. I get to be like receptive and overjoyed by being given to and paid attention to. It's like something I can revel in and enjoy. And then naturally that gives back to him.
Yeah. And I think just listening to this whole conversation on the masculine and feminine, you know, and this is my perception is, you know, the masculine, it's always wanting, like, even like caveman time is like being the provider, right? Like going out, whacking an animal over the head with a club, dragging it back to your wife or to your woman or your whoever it was. And they're like the nurturer, the lover. They're gonna like bring some of the happiness where the man is like, oh, you know, like that, like I just see that. Not that we're that way now, totally, but I think that dynamic is still something that is real, you know. And like you said, gay, straight, it doesn't make a difference, but there is going to be that person that's going to want to be the provider or have that dominant, if you will, like persona. And there's going to be the one that's going to want to be the nurturer, the lover, to bring light to this situation. And I think that's a very good balance.
Yes. And it's timeless. It's really, really timeless.
And that's a good way to say it, you know, how you said it, Josh, which is one person wants to bring something.
Yeah.
It's not like Alicia can be very strong and very intense if she needs to. Right. Course. But she prefers to bring a certain something. I can be very sensitive, but I prefer to bring a certain something. So it's not a question of so much, you know, how it should be, or that, you know, one sex or one type or something is deficient in a certain thing. It's like, you know, it's just good to have specialties. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, things are better. You get more than the sum of the parts. Yeah. When you have people bringing different things.
Yeah. And I think it was on social media not too long ago. Someone said, like, would you hold a door open for a woman? And I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, I do it probably every single day, at least once a day somewhere in my practice, you know, and then I get like attacked, like for being too masculine or too, like, why would you do that? I'm like, I would hold it for a man. I would hold it for a woman. I mean, it's just my nature. You know, and like you talk about the political correctiveness of this is definitely challenging times, but I think it's very important what you're both doing and bringing awareness to all of this, because this is like getting like shoved down and shoved down and shoved down, and you're bringing the light to show, like, shine the light on it. You know, there's a quote by the guy that developed chiropractic, and he says it's better to light one candle and curse the darkness. And that's really, really powerful. Like, you're walking into that dark room with the candle in front of you, say, no, this is okay. Like, this is okay. Where everybody else is like, you know, freaking out.
Yes. Thank you. And we really support people in feeling in their bodies and in their experience what they're drawn to, because there's so much information out there and opinions and, oh my gosh, and you can get caught up in all that. But if you actually tune into yourself, you can go where you're drawn to go.
And that's the link to presence, right? That's the link to presence, not coming from a philosophy, not coming from today's politically correct thing, not coming from the conservatism of the stereotypes of the 1950s, but really being present in our bodies, really being present in our hearts and our minds and our sex centers.
Mm.
And then what do we want? What's fun? That's why our main course is called the pleasure course, because like you can really trust that. That's what I got in the Zen monastery. You know, I remember sitting there, they woke me up like every morning at 4 a.m. This was actually the second day, so it had only been one morning up to the point. But they woke me up the second day I was there. And I was walked into this giant dark room. And, you know, I'm just falling asleep constantly. I try to leave the monastery and I don't have a car and I can't leave and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, I could have, they weren't going to I wasn't chained down or something like that. But, you know, it was hard to leave. So I didn't leave. The guy's like, look, why don't you stay for another day? You know, you're doing fine. If you fall asleep, it's fine. All the rest of that. So, you know, the next morning I go back into this giant dark room, 4 o'clock in the morning, all the rest of this kind of stuff. And something just happened, being made to sit there in the dark for that long, when I would normally be totally unconscious, is something just settled and I got contact with being or myself or consciousness. And I found that I could trust that I could trust that I could follow that. And it wasn't information like a philosophy. It was discovering awareness, something that I was, and it was already there. And what I later discovered when I kind of looked at what I was interested in is that life is very fun. Like if we're really living, it's fun. You know, it's turned on. We can really trust what we want, what we enjoy. And I have never found a human being, if they tell the truth about it, who's not crazy about romance and sex and fun and pleasure, if we tell the truth about it. But it is a very challenging place to unleash our potential.
Yeah. So with this relationship potential, people that are finding both of you, you know, as teachers or instructors, is it the person that is only craving sex? Is it the person that's craving connection with their partner? Is it people that have been in relationships for 30 years? Is it people that have been in relationships for 6 months? Like what is that person searching for that they go, these are my gurus. These are the people that I want to learn from. The same way you were both searching in the beginning.
Yeah. So people that find us are people that want to have successful relationships, both singles and couples. So singles find us who want to meet the one, you know, they want to find their person. They want to date successfully. They want to be able to find people they're attracted to. You know, that's a big issue. This online dating thing is a big issue, like how to actually do that in a sustainable way. Couples find us, the biggest issue is they want more chemistry. They want more passion. Some couples have been together for months, some years, some decades, but they want to have that attraction and chemistry again. And, you know, some people have more kind of sexually focused goals. One of our specialties is extended orgasm, a literal stroking technique. So people hear about that and they're like, oh, I want to study that with them. Some people want to address the psychological patterns that are coming up that are getting in the way. Yeah.
So the common thread is people who want to be more connected, whether they're single or coupled up already. They want to be more connected and they want it to be a juicy connection that increases over time instead of that honeymoon period where it kind of dies out after, 3 months or 3 years or, however that goes.
Yeah. So this is good because I've been married for, like we said, since 2004. I had to think about the years. But how does someone that's had that honeymoon period that's, whether it's 6 months or whether it's like the honeymoon night, the honeymoon weekend or whatever it may be, and then it things fizzle. Do you find that those people refine connection that show up at your events, or is it like, do they go, you know what, this maybe isn't the connection we thought it would be and have to go our separate ways? I know that's like a hard thing to think about, but it's got to be a reality. It's
a great question, and it's a real question, and it's a question people have. It's funny, in our Master of Relationship class, our weekly class, we have a class coming up in 2 weeks about partner selection.
Okay.
So the bottom line on partner selection is relationships where both partners are willing to grow and develop romantically, like put in maybe it's 10,000 hours, maybe it's 1,000 hours, maybe it's whatever it is, but they're really willing to grow and develop romantically. Those are the relationships that tend to succeed.
Okay.
It's a very simple statement. It's really obvious, but it's something that we just kind of typically don't know. Oh, like if I want to learn tennis, if I study tennis, I'm going to get better at tennis. Everybody's like, yeah, you want to get better at tennis, you study tennis, right? So relationship is exactly the same way. So that's the number one criteria for whether a relationship succeeds or not. If somebody is single and they're willing to do that, they'll tend to attract somebody like that. And if somebody's in a relationship already and both people are willing to do that, then the prognosis is very good. The truth is, you could pair up a very wide selection of people who have a masculine orientation and a feminine orientation, and if they're both willing to really enjoy it and do the work, the relationship will probably work. For example, I'll say just real quick, the 4 practices we recommend our students do daily: meditation, body practice, right? Something just gets you in your body. Everybody's so in their heads nowadays, like lift weights, do yoga, go running, walk barefoot around your house, anything to get in your body. Psychological inquiry. Where am I at now? What's going on for me? Because usually we're interpreting things through a filter from our past to kind of get that filter out of the way. And then the 4th one is some kind of sensual practice. Could be something advanced like extended orgasm. Could just be sitting up, your partner's laying down, put one hand on their heart, one hand on their abdomen. Before we do our extended orgasm practice, Alicia always does this with me. She did it this morning. Every morning I'm laying down. She puts her hand on my heart, her hand on my abdomen, resuscitates me. So those are the 4 practices that kind of sort of what it looks like.
So that's sensual resuscitation. I didn't learn that in school yet. I'm definitely.
I need that. Some people don't need that. For me, I need that.
That's great. That's great. So just to keep this going, because this is fun. I have just on the other screen here, I have the programs up, and I know we have like different layers that, if you will, like almost like an onion, go deeper and deeper and deeper in your classes. With this whole transition this past 2020, with so many things becoming virtual, how have you both been experiencing the teaching, the coaching, the training from this, this distance, if you will, this distance learning, which is, I'm a good learner this way. I'm an introvert by trade. That's why I love podcasting and having these conversations, but because you're dealing with relationships. I mean, this is like a human, we talk about connection. We were talking about, like, this is like the deepest stuff you're going to go into with another human being. How does it work this way?
It's been working amazingly.
Okay.
We had started to provide some of our programs online prior to the pandemic. And then, of course, when the pandemic hit, we're like, okay, let's just move everything over now. And it was a smooth transition, and it has been amazing because we're working with people like not only in the Bay Area, but all across the country, in other countries. Our weekly group coaching class is now like 3 times the size because it's on Zoom. It's easy, people from all over. It's amazing what we can transmit through the screen and how much we can feel people. I mean, it takes a little extra intention on people's parts. Like, okay, don't check your email while you're in class. It's right in front of you. It's tempting. But it's been really, really fun and really positive.
Yeah. I mean, being present time conscious is that's been like the conversation all along, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right? Exactly.
So we're not on our devices. We're not like screwing around. Like, this is intentional. So it's neat that people are really being able to connect this way. I'm excited for you to get back to the interpersonal, the direct contact. I know the virtual is very, very cool, but me as a personal learner, I love connecting with other humans, and I shine, if you will, like when I get to be in a group of people like yourselves that are open-minded, that are happy and excited. I learn the most personally. So to go back into the programs, is there a place, that someone, it's just, they're hearing this podcast, they're learning about you. Where is there a starting point, or do they just go, you know what, I want that?
So we have something for everyone. Like some people really like to learn one-on-one personally, right? So we have individual coaching. People can start with that. A lot of people really like to be in community and learn from other people as well as from us. So we have the Mastery of Relationship weekly class. People can just jump into that. If people are kind of like, okay, I want a little taste of something, we have a weekend course, the pleasure course. We have a 3-hour extended orgasm class. All of it's online right now. So it kind of depends on where people want to start. They can start in.
And it's easy to start. We're a very personal organization, a very personal community. So how people get in is some people just sign up for something, but most people actually have a conversation with Alicia. And then they bring what they're dealing with. Maybe they got a problem here, they want to get in a relationship or this or that, or maybe things are fantastic and they're really going for the fun. That's, I think, where we make the biggest impact with people because, that's our forte is, going to the fun places in a relationship. So a lot of people start just by having a conversation with Alicia, saying what they want. And then if we can provide that, we'll say, hey, we think you should do X. And then you register for that. Or if we can't provide that, sometimes people need a therapist or something like that. Recommend something for them there.
Is it with both of your expertise in training, like your background in therapy, right? Do you find, I imagine people get more than they bargained for when they show up.
Yes, particularly, well, in all the areas, but psychologically, I think is where people get more than they thought they would, because people come, they're like, I want to learn relationship skills, communication, sex skills. They learn all of that. But the depth of the unwinding of all the barriers that we come up against psychologically, it's like people are often surprised by that.
Yeah, I get that from both of you, that when someone thinks they're getting just this, they're trying to find the mechanics, like the physical, they're going into like the subconscious. They're going very deep. And I imagine that's why you guys have such great success. It is not just about the mechanics. It's a lot bigger.
Yeah. Not just tips.
Right. It takes really dealing with ourselves psychologically, which is a big thing. It takes lifestyle design. It takes spiritual practice, if you will, meditation. We're not particularly religious, but it really takes addressing what we are fundamentally. It takes handling one's social life. It really is a very multidimensional process to actually take this area of relationship and let it grow the way it wants to grow.
Yeah. So the next question, I'm just looking, I have all this stuff up on the screen again. Is there like a taste program? Like I want a taste of something like
a sampler platter,
like a sampler platter type of, like, to figure out where we fit.
Yeah. So the best thing, if somebody wants to get more of a sense of what we offer, would be to have a conversation with
the actual human to human.
Yeah. And I call it a love life consultation. And for anybody listening to this, I would like to offer, it's free, 30, 45 minutes conversation with me over Zoom. And you can just text me to set it up and we'll schedule it. And then you can tell me whatever's going on with you and what your goals are. And then we'll see which program's the best fit.
And Alicia will give you that sampler platter, like our method, you probably saw it on our website. It starts with dealing with the psychology, discovering a person's relationship blueprint, then finding out who they really are, the self, if you will. Then masculine, feminine dynamics. We talked a little bit about that. Then the stages a relationship goes through. Then unleashing a person's sexual potential. So a person will get a kind of a sense of all of that, and they sort of like take a look at what's the area they really want to focus on. Alicia will coach them. And then if we're a good fit, we'll recommend something weekly or individual or some combination.
Yeah. It's like prepping a rocket for launch.
Right. It's a big deal. It's a really big deal. You know? Yeah.
And I think in the world of, in Lifestyle Locker, unleashing human potential, relationships are essential. They're not like a part. I mean, we're human beings. We're designed to be connected. We're designed to be with other human beings. And I think the relationship piece of this puzzle is overlooked by so many so-called experts. And it's a powerful piece, because if you have like a powerful partner or a group that you're with, I think you can all shine so much more. And I mean, obviously with the two of you, you've created your whole world around it, which is really amazing. It really is.
And we did it that way for us. You know, we love the organization was originally named the Community Experience in 1995. When we started, that was the original name, because we just loved being with people and connecting and community and sex and romance and meditating. And, you know, it's a blessing for us because we get to live right in the middle of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to circle back way back to the beginning. I think it was you, Alicia, that you were saying, you grew up doing, or someone, I remember which one, like sweat lodges and things like that. Who was that?
Yeah, that was me. That was in college.
College. Okay. Okay. No, it's just, it reminds me of my upbringing as far as doing like firewalks and sweat lodges. And we'd do stuff in Arizona, like meditation at like 6 a.m. in the desert, like wild, cool stuff. Surprised we haven't crossed paths before, like the three of us. But I'll ask one final question. I think it's important, and you both can brainstorm on it, but I think you'll be able to come up with answers easily. You know, if you had to tell someone today, like 3 basic things they can do to unleash their human potential, what would they be? You can do 3 each if you want.
3.
I'll keep it fair if you want to, or just 3 is okay.
I'll say, do you want to start?
Meditation. That was my first answer.
Meditation is the thing we recommend to people first and foremost, to really just spend some time each day, even if it's a minute, because people get sort of daunted by meditation. What is that? Am I doing it right? You know, all that. Spend a little time, preferably in the beginning of the day, just being still. And notice the like craziness in the mind, and then notice the stillness behind all that craziness. You know, it does wonders. So that's the thing we recommend most. But where I would start that process for somebody is, I would say the first thing to do is really take a look. Are you up for the journey? You know, okay. You know, have a vision, it's kind of like the head center part, like have a vision. Yeah. Okay. I do want to have an amazing, juicy, turned on relationship. So I would say that'd be the first thing. The next thing I would say is decide if you're willing to really put your heart into it. Right? Because a vision is one thing, but then really like, okay, I'm going to do this. You know, I really want to do this, you know, to like, let that vision like sink from the head into the heart and really put oneself into it. That's the next thing I would recommend. And then the third thing I would recommend is really to structure that into one's life.
Make it real.
Calendar, mentorship, community, classes, all that stuff we've been talking about, you know, for the hour, to really make it real. I thank my lucky stars that after taking the class in Buddhism in college, that I moved into, moved into the Buddhist monastery. You know, actually made it real, like the rubber met the road. Those are the 3 things I would recommend.
That's great. That's head, heart, and taking action. Those are the 3. That's awesome. Awesome. So everyone, make sure you're going to check out the show notes. We'll have all their details. I'm sure you're going to connect with them one way or another. Their programs look awesome. I'm going to make sure that I stay connected and maybe even check out one of their programs as well. Married guy for a long time. Hey, listen, relationships could always be better. I'm always into that. So
that's the great thing about life. There's, you know, it's endless. It's a party.
Yeah.
You know, Josh, you are completely awesome. We love you.
Yeah.
This has been really fun.
Such a good time.
Yeah.
So everybody, make sure you connect with them. Please, please, please. Not for me, for you, and not for them, but for you. So, right, y'all. Later.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that episode with Alicia and Erwan. Wow, what an awesome couple, huh? If you're really interested in learning more, check out all the details in the show notes. We do have information on some of their upcoming events that you can actually register yourself for. And if you miss those, you're going to make sure you connect with them so you can find out all of their future events and which ones you may actually want to partake in. So if you're in a relationship, want to be in a relationship, like sex, like intimacy, check them out. So I appreciate all of you. Check out the next few minutes. check out the 3065 Lifestyle Shift program, and we'll see you on the inside. Hey, it's Dr. Josh Hant here, and we need to talk about your health, your fitness, and your lifestyle. I know you, if you're like me, you've seen sickness and disease and even death in your life. And we know the leading causes of death in the United States are cancer, heart disease, and diabetes. Many of these conditions and diseases are considered lifestyle-based. And I know that lifestyles in the United States and other countries are not where they should be. We also know that they make you more vulnerable to other sicknesses and conditions. We tend to get our advice and recommendations on health from commercials and marketing, from fast food to pharmaceuticals, and not from experts with real-world experience. Unfortunately, we follow people or products who don't walk the walk or talk the talk. They simply just don't care about your health. It's just about their bottom line. I know we've heard it from our friends and from even our own self-talk that we don't have enough time, we can't make the changes, or there's just too much to do to be healthy. But there is a way to actually take control of your lifestyle and have the accountability and the support you need. We can be bigger than our excuses. For the past 14 years as a chiropractor, I've worked and continue to work with thousands of patients with their lifestyle and ultimately their health. I am now bringing the same philosophy to the online space where we can work as a group to get better, stronger, healthier, and be bigger than our excuses every single day. I've created the 3065 Lifestyle Shift program to be an online-based, training-based program where you get to learn and be engaged with others in your journey towards a healthy lifestyle and ultimately a healthier life. To be part of this amazing movement, it's just $5 a month. Yes, it's only $5 a month, and that seems too good to be true. Well, it's not. So for the price of a gourmet coffee, you will have access to an amazing program and amazing people that want the best for you too. So when you dive into the content below this video to learn about our lifestyle philosophy, you'll see that we are incredibly unique. No other online program focuses on lifestyle the way we do and delivers the quality and the quantity of content that we do for just $5 a month. And it's not just about the movement. There's a lot more. It's really about your health. So check out the details and other videos below. And when you sign up, I'll even send you the ebook, Inside the Locker, which dives deeper into creating an awesome lifestyle. I look forward to seeing you on the inside of the Lifestyle Locker 3065 Lifestyle Shift program.